You have ideas that can change your team, your company, maybe even the world. But an idea without influence is just a thought. It's time to find your spark. This is The Scintilla Effect with your host, Mark Taylor. Hello, and welcome back to The Scintilla Effect. I am so glad you are here with me today. Have you ever been in a meeting, maybe with senior leadership, and have the answer? You've done the research, you've built the models, you have the data that proves without a doubt that your idea is the right one. You wait for your turn to speak, you lay it all out, and you get nothing. Just polite nods, blank stares. It's like you're screaming into a void. It's one of the most frustrating, demoralizing feelings in a professional career. It can make you question your own value, your own brilliance. And if you've ever felt that way, like you're invisible, like your best ideas are trapped behind a wall you just can't seem to break through, then I want you to know two things. One, you are not alone. And two, this episode is for you. For those of you who might be new to the show, my name is Mark Taylor. And for over 15 years as a life and leadership coach, I've had the privilege of working inside some of the most competitive environments on the planet. My background is in influence psychology, and for my entire career, I have been obsessed with one single question. Why do some incredibly smart, talented people fail to make an impact, while others with seemingly average ideas can rally entire organizations behind them? The answer I discovered was rarely about intelligence or work ethic. It was about a specific set of skills. It was about authentic influence. It was about finding that tiny, powerful spark, that scintilla of genuine connection that changes everything. My mission with this podcast and my entire life's work is to demystify these skills and hand them to you so you can finally make the impact you were born to make. And today, we're going to do that through a story. The story of a client I once had and the ghost that was silently killing her career. I want to tell you about a client of mine. For her privacy, we'll call her Priya. When Priya came to me, she was, by any objective measure, a genius. She was a senior data scientist at a major tech company. She could build predictive models that were so elegant, so accurate, they could literally save the company millions of dollars. She was the smartest person in almost any room she walked into, but you wouldn't know it. In meetings with executives, Priya would physically shrink. She would sit at the edge of the table and not the center. When it was her turn to present her findings, she spoke quietly, almost apologetically. Her presentations were just a data dump, slide after slide of complex charts and spreadsheets. They were technically perfect, but they were lifeless. The executives would nod along, their eyes would glaze over, and at the end, someone would say, "Interesting, thanks, Priya," and then just move on. Nothing ever got implemented. Her brilliance was trapped in a cage of invisibility. She had zero influence, and her career had completely stalled. After we worked together for a few weeks, the real story finally came out. Earlier in her career, at a different company, Priya was the lead on a high-profile project. It was her big shot. But due to market changes completely outside of her control, the project failed spectacularly. And her boss at the time, instead of taking responsibility, made Priya the public scapegoat. The humiliation was so intense that it created a deep, subconscious belief in her mind. A ghost that whispered in her ear every single day. When you step up, you get punished. When you're visible, you get hurt. It is safer to be invisible. This, my friends, is a classic case of what psychologists call learned helplessness. It's when you experience repeated setbacks that you feel you can't control and your brain literally learns to be helpless. It decides, why should I even bother trying? It won't work anyway. The failure is permanent, pervasive, and it's personal. It's all my fault. Well, this mindset is a silent career killer because you cannot project confidence when you feel worthless. You can't inspire action when you secretly believe all action is futile. You can't influence anyone else when you've lost influence over yourself. So, the very first pillar of influence we had to build with Priya had nothing to do with her presentation skills. It was pillar one, the resilient mindset. Our work wasn't about some grand gesture. It was about proving the ghost wrong with tiny pieces of new evidence. The very first assignment I gave her was to start with a win log. Every single day, she had to write down just one thing she did that moved her forward. It could be anything. Sent a tough email, got positive feedback from a colleague, spoke up in a low-stakes meeting. She was basically collecting data that proved the ghost in her head was a liar. And slowly, painstakingly, a crack of light started to appear. She was starting to break the spell. She was starting to remember her own power. And that process of rebuilding, of taking small, consistent action, is the most important work you can do, but can be overwhelming to figure out where to even begin. If Praya's story resonates with you, if you feel like you're stuck in a reactive cycle and want to proactively build that resilient mindset, I've created a free resource just for you. It's my 5-day Authentic Influence email challenge. For 5 days, I'll send you a short, powerful email directly into your inbox with one simple prompt, one mindset shift, or one small action you could take that day to start building your confidence and clarity. It's not a huge commitment. It's designed to be a series of small wins, and it's completely free. Sign up and start your journey today at marktaylorint.blogspot.com. That's marktaylorint.blogspot.com. Welcome back. So, as Praya began the internal work of silencing that ghost, we could finally start working on the external skills. This is where we get into the mechanics of influence. We move on to Pillar 2, authentic persuasion. I explained to her that persuasion isn't about pushing your agenda. It's about building a bridge to someone else's understanding. It's a dance, not a battle. Her problem was that she was leading with logic. She was showing people her spreadsheets, but people don't make decisions with spreadsheets. People make decisions emotionally and then justify them logically. You have to speak to both parts of the brain. So we completely reframed her presentations. Instead of starting with a chart, her next presentation started with a question. She stood up and said, "What if I told you you were losing over $2 million a year because of one simple inefficiency that we can fix in the next quarter?" Suddenly, every single person in the room put down their phone. They leaned in. Their brains were now asking a question. How? She had their emotional attention. Then she showed them the data to justify the solution. She wrapped her logic, her superpower, in a story that connected to their emotions and their goals. It was the exact same data, but now it was landing with impact. That is authentic persuasion. It's a shift from, here's my brilliant idea, to, here's how I can help you solve your biggest problem. This, of course, led to the final piece of the puzzle, the X factor that so many people get wrong. Pillar 3, strategic charisma. Now, charisma is a word that trips everybody up. We think of movie stars, of presidents, of these larger-than-life personalities, and we think, well, that's not me. Good, because that's not what it is. I want you to forget performing charisma. Authentic charisma is simply the result of demonstrating 3 behaviors at the same time: presence, warmth, and power. Presence is the rarest gift in our distracted world. It's putting your phone away. It's looking someone in the eye when they talk. It's listening to understand, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It makes people feel seen, valued, and heard. Warmth is your signal that you are an ally, not an adversary. It's a genuine smile. It's nodding when someone makes a good point. It's using collaborative language like we instead of I. It builds trust and psychological safety. And finally, power. In this context, power isn't about your title. It's your perceived confidence and competence. It's your posture. It's the clarity and conviction in your voice. It's your command of the subject matter. The problem is most people are out of balance. All power and no warmth, you come across as arrogant and intimidating. All warmth and no power, you're seen as a people pleaser, easily dismissed. The magic, the charisma happens when you can stand confidently in your power while extending genuine warmth in presence to others. And for Praya, this was the final key. Because she had done the inner work on her mindset, she finally felt powerful. Because she learned how to frame her ideas as solutions, she had the tools to be persuasive. Now she can walk into that room, stand tall, make eye contact, smile, and deliver her message with a conviction that was so genuine it was infectious. She didn't become a different person. She became the most effective, authentic version of herself. The ghost was gone, and in its place was a leader. So, as we wrap up today, I want you to think about these 3 pillars: the resilient mindset, authentic persuasion, and strategic charisma. They all work together in a system. You can't have one without the others. Your mindset is the foundation. Your persuasion skills are the tools. And your charisma is the energy that makes it all work. Your homework for this week is simple. Don't try to tackle all 3 at once. Just pick one pillar to focus on. Maybe it's mindset. Your job is to simply catch that negative voice, that ghost in the act. Just notice it. That's the first step. Maybe it's persuasion. And one important conversation this week, commit to listening 80% of the time. Build a bridge before you present a solution. Or maybe it's charisma. In your very next meeting, put your phone away. Sit up straight and focus on giving one person your complete undivided presence. Your ability to influence your world is immense. But it starts with the quiet, courageous work of influencing yourself first. That is where you find your spark. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if this episode sparks something in you, the single best way to support the show and help us reach more people is to go to Apple Podcasts right now and leave a quick 5-star rating and review. It truly makes all the difference. Until next time, I'm Mark Taylor. The information provided in this podcast is for educational, informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice from a qualified expert in the fields of medicine, mental health, law, or finance. It's not a substitute for professional one-on-one coaching. The views and opinions expressed by me are my own. All decisions and actions taken by the listener based on this content are their sole responsibility. This podcast may contain sponsored content or affiliate links, which are always disclosed during the episode. Mark Taylor International disclaims any liability related to the accuracy or completeness of the information provided. Till next time, go find your spark.